On the first day of 2022, 65 young girls between ages of 13 and 19-year-old gave birth. Adolescent pregnancy is a global issue that affects millions of girls across the world. Studies show about 12 million girls between the ages of 15 and 19 give birth every year. But what can be done to help those who face unplanned pregnancy? Well, to help us unpack this, I'm joined by Doriann Venter from the Hope Ithemba Pregnancy Crisis Center. Doriann, thank you for your time. So occasions such as New Year's Day and the attention on New Year's babies, in a way, those occasions help to shift focus back to the problem of teen pregnancies. But it's not that the problem ever goes away, is it? And just from what we can see as a glimpse of the problem, how extensive is the problem of teen pregnancies in South Africa?
Good afternoon, Talani, and thank you for having me on your show. Yes, teenage pregnancies is a global problem and a very big problem facing South Africa as a whole. We have seen a huge uptake on the amount of pregnancies, especially since COVID started 2 years ago. And the crisis pregnancy centers around the country are trying to come up with ways and means in which to help prevent this. So it is an ongoing battle, but we are trying our best.
And Doriann, to what extent do we focus on this problem and link it directly to the problem of rape in South Africa? Because, you know, in many instances that we categorize as teen pregnancies, you hear talking about young children who absolutely do not have the capacity for consent in any shape or form, really, within our legal system. Do we have then that conversation framed in that way as we analyze these numbers as a society? Or do we simply, you know, make it an issue of children who are engaging in sexual behavior irresponsibly?
It is both instances, but gender-based violence or rape and sexual abuse has got a lot to do with it. At the beginning of COVID lockdown, when we were in level 5, we were contacted by a very concerned mother whose daughter, who was 13 at the time, had been raped and was pregnant as a result. So it is a very big problem. I do think the rape statistics has got a lot to do with it. And unfortunately, we don't get to hear the actual statistics because a lot of the rapes and sexual abuses are not reported. And I think that's one of the biggest problems in our country at the moment.
And I've heard you, I think, twice referring to the situation having been exacerbated during the period of the lockdown. And you're not the first one to say that, by the way. The various pieces of research that have come out in the wake of statistics such as what Gauteng reported last year, that some 23,000 young girls had fallen pregnant between 2020 April and March 2021. Even at that stage, the issue of the hard lockdown in the wake of COVID-19 featured prominently. Just expand a little bit more. How is it a factor in this particular problem?
I think firstly, the teenagers are bored. Obviously, they don't know what to do with their time and they're experiencing in things that they shouldn't be, which is a problem. But I also think a lot of abuse has happened during this period. And our teens are suffering as a cause of it. I also don't believe that the government departments who are there to help these girls are doing their fair part in helping cut down on the abuse.
Lastly, Doriann, let's talk solutions. What do we do? We've analyzed the situation, we've made a diagnosis and also talked about the factors that are at play. in the last few minutes. I believe that from your side, you perhaps are leading in trying to see what more can be done, in addition to, a constitution that guarantees that the rights of the child are of paramount importance in any matter involving a child. We have the Children's Act, the Child Justice Act, Sexual Offences Act, all of these, but still here we are facing these problems. What more can be done?
So we form part of a huge group of crisis pregnancy networks in South Africa, which is headed by the Pregnancy Help Network. And they have a program which we're trying to get into the schools, which is called Undiluted. So the idea is to try and educate our teens on having sex and falling pregnant and how to cope with it. We also trying to get to the boys and the men with a program by the name of Legacy Dad. So we're trying to attack this from a different perspective in educating the community and especially our teenagers on the consequences and everything of their actions.
All right, so hopefully actions such as the ones that you are doing as the Pregnancy Crisis Center and other similar organizations, as well as what I called earlier on an all-of-society response, government departments, agencies, civil society, ordinary South Africans, all of them coming to the party and playing their role. Hopefully we may start seeing that picture starting to change. Thank you for your time and your inputs. That's Doriann Venter from the Hope Ithemba Pregnancy Crisis Center joining us here on ENCA.